So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a situational judgment test. You're going to be able to see exactly how I would approach each of these questions and why I would choose the answer I'm going to choose. So just before we get into this, let me introduce myself. My name's Owen. I'm a degree apprentice. I help people get degree apprenticeships in the engineering, technology, and finance industries. Some companies I help people get into last year include Amazon, JLR, HSBC, KPMG, Deutsche Bank, just to name a few. Okay, so before we get into this, I'll put the link in the description. It's going to come to this SHL page where there's a bunch of practice tests. What I would recommend you do is come and actually do this situational judgment test first, because then you'll be able to see how good you are, and then you can watch this video and see where you can improve, see how my method is basically for doing these situational judgment tests, okay? If you don't have time, then fair enough, just continue watching this video, but if you do have time, I would strongly recommend going do this practice yourself, see how you do, and then come back to this video to sort of compare answers and see where you can improve, okay? So let's get into this. Okay, so let's begin. Question one. Essentially, a situational judgment test is where they're going to give you a scenario, then going to give you a bunch of like actions you could take, and you have to choose which actions you think are the most effective, which ones you think are the least effective, okay, to sort of simulate what you would do in a situation at work. So let's get started with this one. This one seems good because this one seems like collaboration. You're adapting with your colleague to offer them help, so I'd say more effective. Okay, hold on. Clear that. Mind your colleague. This one again, this is sort of like a nice collaboration, communication-y thing. You're spending time with a colleague, you're discussing their point of view. It's all empathy. It matches with a lot of these values these companies care about, which is communication, collaboration, empathy, respect, all this sort of thing. And then I'd probably put these two as less effective because these are a bit more harsh and a bit less sort of collaborative. Okay, so basically you've been asked to do an audit, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on the team because they're just getting used to a new process. So, okay, this one here, it says basically wait before telling everyone that it needs to be a safe environment. This isn't a good one, okay? A lot of companies do care about safety, especially if you look at any of these engineering companies, one of their values might be safety. They want to make sure everything is done safely. And they say things like safety is #1 priority. So you don't want to choose an option which says, oh no, I'll just wait. I'll wait from telling them about the safety hazards until they're ready. Because that basically says, okay, we don't care about safety for the next 2 weeks. It's like safety is #1 priority. So that one would be a bad one because you're not telling everyone about safety, and safety is so important. This one here, reminding your team about the benefits of safety as soon as possible. That's really good because that shows that you care about safety. A lot of these engineering companies are going to like that. This one's effective because you're following his request. And this one could be either less effective or effective. Like I see why, this is where you're basically asking him if you could postpone it. So this is obviously, it could be less effective because you're postponing the audit. But also, you are thinking about their point of view. You're thinking about your team and thinking about how it'd be difficult to them. So this one, to be honest, you could say is either less effective or more effective. I'm actually going to say more effective on this one. Okay, so basically you're being asked to help with serving guests at a restaurant, even though like what you were supposed to do was go and like sort of take the stock. Okay. Yeah, so this one right here, I'm looking down here, it says we're going to talk to the team member to understand why they are struggling. Okay, that's nice and communicative, collaborative, friendly. You're trying to understand them. Okay, so I'd say that's effective. This one here, you're sort of just telling them that no, it's going to be fine, don't worry about it. Which again, in some scenarios, I think would be fine. And like probably sometimes you got to not be realistic. Like probably in a realistic situation like this, I might be like, no, you're going to be fine. Okay, but the thing is, you want to present yourself in this situational judgment test as communicative, respectful, collaborative, right? So that one, because it's a bit less collaborative, you're sort of just saying, no, you're fine, then I would say that's less effective. Being flexible, this shows you can adapt and it shows you're agile, so 100% this one's more effective. And this one I think it is more effective as well, because this shows here, this is basically where you're saying, unfortunately I can't do it now because I've got to take this stock. Would you be able to go and ask someone else? I think this is actually good because it shows that you can manage priorities. You know that the stock needs to get done. You're not just going to like put it all down, go and do this, and then the stock's not done and you're in a mess. This shows you can manage priorities and sort of, yeah, manage priorities essentially. So I'd say this one's more effective. Okay, so a colleague's asked about swapping shifts, but you like your current shift schedule. They've basically asked you to swap shifts a few times, but you think the manager could change their schedule permanently just to make it easier. This one, again, this one right here, find out why the colleague wants to swap shifts next week and then consider the request. That's nice and collaborative, communicative, respectful. You're like, oh, find out. Can you just tell me what's the reason? Then you go and consider it. It's like, it's all nice and friendly, right? So this one I'd say is more effective. Tell the colleague that you're willing to be flexible with your shift schedule on this occasion. That one seems good. This one, again, I'll be honest, seems good because you're just being honest there. I'd prefer to stick with my current one. So just go and check with others. How about that? Tell your colleague to speak to the manager who may be able to change their schedule permanently. Honestly, I'd say all of these are pretty effective. And that means sometimes you might want to. It's like it's not always going to be two and two, like two are effective, two are not effective. Sometimes it can be a bit like this. That's what I go personally. And with this, I think with situational judgment tests, it's important not to deep it. Don't overthink it too much. It's like, yeah, probably on the mark scheme, they're going to call one of these less effective, right? And I'll have like lost a mark. But it's like, I'll have probably got most of the marks from here. So it's not worth sitting here for another 3 minutes trying to like second guess and work out which one should I go and change to less effective. It's like, personally, I think this is a pretty decent answer. So I'm just going to go with it. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting here wasting your time overthinking and it just won't help you. So I'd say just choose an answer and just go with it, really. Okay, so you've been asked to assist with a project and you've never met the team before. It would require a big handover to join this new team, but most people are quite busy. So what would you do in this situation? This one here, agree to assist at the other facilities. You think this may be a good opportunity for you to meet a new team. I would say this is very effective. So questions like this are very common in situational judgment tests where they ask you a question like, you've been offered a new role, which is quite difficult. What do you do? And basically, like, the responses fall into two categories. It's like, A, this seems really difficult. It seems like a new opportunity. I don't really like new opportunities. I don't really like difficult things. I'm not going to do it. Or B, I'm excited for this new opportunity. And basically, at most companies, almost all companies, you want to choose that excited for this new opportunity one because it shows you've got that growth mindset. You're ready to develop, as opposed to someone who like doesn't want to do the development. They just want to stick with what they've already done. So, for example, this one I'd say is less effective because you're basically saying, can someone else do it? You don't want to do it. You don't want to take the responsibility. You don't want to get a new role. You don't want to develop yourself. You're scared of meeting the team. You're scared of collaborating, scared of communicating. So this one is like less effective. These two are like the polar opposites here that sort of represent. This is a very common question you might get in your situational judgment test. So remember, you always want to say that you're going to take on new opportunities, learn new things, challenge yourself, ask questions. That's how I'd approach these questions. This one I'd say is effective because this is where you're proactively going and looking for another team member who'd be able to pick up your work so that you can go and do this new opportunity. Again, this one I'd probably say is more effective because this is where you're consulting with your manager um, about who else would be able to do this opportunity. Potentially, I'd actually say less effective because this one is where you're basically getting someone else to do it. And again, it's like, what, are you shying away from a new opportunity? Do you not like new opportunities? Well, we want to hire some killers who absolutely want to develop themselves. They want to become the best possible professionals they can. So I'd probably say that one is less effective. Always make sure you're open to these new opportunities and you're showing off this growth mindset that you have. Okay, so you've been asked to do some recommendations for for organising staff, um, and basically you've drafted it, you want to check it, but you don't really have time to check it because there's some other tasks to do. So what do you do in this situation? Okay, reprioritize your tasks straight away. That's more effective because that shows how you're managing multiple tasks at the same time with competing deadlines, and you're going to reprioritize them. You're not just going to choose one task and just focus on that one. You're going to choose the ones which are most important. So that's good. Okay, submit a rough draft without checking. I'd probably say less effective because you said here that you think it would benefit with some checks and clarification. If you're ready to submit something when it's not ready, that shows you don't care about high quality. A lot of these companies, especially the finance companies, they say that they really care about excellence, and like they care about the highest standards. If you're saying here that you're ready to submit something which isn't fully ready, which is still kind of a bit bad, it shows you don't have those high standards, you don't have those excellence. Okay, so this one I would say this one's a bad one because of that, because you're just submitting something which isn't very good. This one I'd say is more effective because this is where you're sort of proactively asking the manager, is it okay if we extend this deadline so I can do these tasks? Okay. This one I'd say is less effective because this one is where you're just delaying the tasks. Okay, the other tasks you have to do. Now that's not necessarily like a bad thing, but if you were to delay your task, you'd want to go and seek approval from the relevant managers if it's okay to delay them. Okay, you don't want to just randomly decide, oh, okay, I'm going to delay this task. I was supposed to submit on Friday, I'm going to submit it next Tuesday. Okay, so this one, because you've just randomly decided to delay your task, I'd say that's less effective. Whereas these ones down here, you've reprioritized your tasks, you've had a look at the deadlines, or you've gone and asked your manager, can we have an extension, essentially. So that's where you're being proactive and you're actually communicating with people, compared to here where you're just like randomly choosing yourself, oh, I don't want to submit this on time, I'm just going to submit it 3 days late for no reason. Okay, so that's what I do on that question. Okay, so you arrive for your shift at like, I don't know, like a store or something, home base probably, and you forget the keys. Oh, okay, so you could go back home to get the keys. So you forgot the keys, you had to open it. All of your colleagues are relying on you to open it. If you go back home, it'll delay the opening time by 30 minutes. Or you could go to the store manager who lives a few minutes away and has the keys. Um, but they're on a day off today because they're celebrating an important occasion, so you'd have to sort of disturb them on their day off. What would you do? Okay, straight away, make a decision and take action quickly to minimize the delay in opening the store. There's no way anyone can do this test and put less effective on that. Okay, because whatever you do, whether you decide to call the store manager or whether you decide to go home and get the keys, the earlier you do something, the faster the short store is going to open. If you stand there for 30 minutes and then decide to go home, well, then that's 30 minutes plus 30 minutes. It's now going to be delayed by an hour. Okay, so if you make a decision straight away, that's perfect. And a lot of these companies, again, especially finance companies, they care about people who are decisive, they're quick action takers. So I'd 100% choose that one. Refrain from calling the store manager on their day off and go home as fast as you can to get the keys. This one I'd say is less effective because again it's a safety thing. What, you're going to drive at like 50 miles an hour down or like down all the roads to get home? It just seems to me like that's very hasty. They're probably not going to want an employee who doesn't care about safety that much, because yeah, that just seems dangerous. Ask the colleagues for advice. I mean, I suppose this is good because you like it sort of collaboration. You're asking them for advice, but I think to me, it's like this is a decision you need to make yourself. You're responsible for the keys. You forgot them. So you need to take personal responsibility and you need to make a decision and take action quickly. Asking for them, it's like, what are they going to do? Okay, they're there waiting for you. So I'd say that one is less effective on this occasion. Usually asking colleagues for help is like really good because it shows collaboration. But I think on this occasion, it just shows that you're not taking this proactive approach with your responsibilities. And again, feel confident calling the store manager and asking to borrow their keys. I'd say that one's effective. Because yeah, you're being confident about it. And I just think, I mean, if I would improve that answer, then I would say something like, "Oh, I'd feel confident calling the store manager and asking to borrow the keys. I would make sure I apologise as I call," something like that, just to show it's like respectful. But I think, yeah, I think this just sort of shows that it's like a collaborative environment, where yes, it's his day off, but he's still happy to help with the company doing that shift. So that's how I'd answer that question there. Okay, essentially someone wants to like swap a product for a different color, but they don't have a receipt. And basically there's a colleague who previously did the purchasing who's off sick, but they need that person essentially to go and do the refund probably. Okay, focus on the appointment with your important client as they are already waiting. And you can assist with the exchange after. That's less effective because that's not very good customer service. So basically what you're saying is that your current customer you're dealing with now, yeah, let's just leave him waiting and forget about that. Let's go on to the important client. Now, I'm not saying that important client you should just leave and just forget about. But what I'm saying is you can't just leave this customer on its own. That's not good customer service. Yes, you want to deal with the important client, but you also need to like do something with this customer so they're not standing there waiting. Take charge of locating the sale on the system from the previous week so you can complete the exchange. Taking charge, you're taking personal responsibility, you're getting it done, you're decisive. That's a good one. And then this one, finish dealing with the first client before moving on to the second one. Again, that just seems like, okay, fine. You're going to focus on the first one, but then you're going to leave the second one waiting because you're obviously not going to, like, it's going to be a bit late to that meeting. So I'd say these two aren't very effective because you're not dealing with either of them. So this one, you're suggesting they sort of come back another day. Again, it's not great because you're not dealing with it right now. Maybe I'd say that one's less effective then. That's what I'd say on this one. And again, like I said, you're not going to get perfect answers on this, but it's about like trying to get at least half marks or 3/4 marks on these questions by getting like 3 out of 4 of them right, essentially. But this one, I just see like it would have been better if you dealt with it today rather than telling the client to go back and do it another time. That's the way I see it anyway. Okay, essentially, there's loads of stuff going on at your restaurant. So you asked 2 people to come in, but then a bit of the work got rescheduled. So they've asked if they can go home, but you were hoping they can stay and help out with something else. Do it all yourself and hold back from asking the team members to come in to stay in as a favour. I'd probably say this is less effective because this shows you're not. It shows like you're trying to do everything independently, which isn't that communicative, collaborative environment that a lot of these companies are working for. This one I would say is more effective because yeah, I know you're trying to keep people stay here before they go home, but again, it's like you'll likely want to work for an organisation who cares about collaborating, so you want to show how like you'd do the collaborative response essentially. Again, essentially, there's like two different bookings, and you're basically under pressure to sort of fit everyone in. So, do you either make sure you can accommodate both of them, or say that you can't fit them? Obviously, you're not going to say you can't fit them because that's poor customer service, but you are going to try and fit them in because that's good customer service. Okay, basically, you're a manager, and 2 of the people you're managing, they've sort of had a disagreement and they're not talking to each other. It's not affected their productivity, so it's not been like sort of escalated to higher powers or whatever, but it is starting to affect the morale a bit. Remain quiet on the matter. I'd say that's less effective. Okay, you want to be proactive. There's obviously some sort of disagreement here. It's affecting morale, so you want to deal with it. Okay, sort of take responsibility, take the initiative, go and deal with it. Highlight the fact that disagreement is starting to affect others and explain your meaning to escalate it. That's very clear communication, asking what you want. I'd say that's good. Speak with each of the direct reports to convince them to come together to resolve this disagreement. Yep, that's effective. Find out whether this disagreement has happened, see if it can be avoided in the future. Again, that's good. I just say this one's bad because you're remaining quiet, which just isn't that sort of communicative approach, and it risks sort of affecting the business and other people. And like this basically says, oh, I don't care if this affects the business. Okay, it might be a difficult conversation, but you need to show how you're ready to have that difficult conversation in order to help the business. So there's a question they can ask you in interviews, like, tell me about a time when you had to have a difficult conversation. That's one you want to be ready for. Okay, so the example I would give in that is when I was sort of on work experience and someone wasn't wearing like the right PPE, like high vis, helmet or whatever. And so I just sort of mentioned it to them that I think you should be wearing this high vis. It's kind of a difficult conversation because they were like a full-on professional. I was just a work experience student. But at the end of the day, safety was #1 priority. So it was important that I communicated that professionally and respectfully so that we could keep everyone safe. Okay, so that's just a bit of an interview bonus for you. Make sure you have an example for that, especially if you're working in like a safety-related field like civil engineering. Okay, but that's what I do there. So focus on the communication, being honest, and thinking about the business, and having difficult conversation even if you don't want to. Okay, you're going to help a colleague when a customer stops you to ask her questions. They want to buy decorations for a party. They've never organised a party before, so they basically want some advice. So what would you do? Take a few minutes to go through what kind of party the customer is throwing so you can identify the most relevant items for them. Well, that's very good customer service. You're not giving them just some generic advice, oh, go and look here. You're actually like sort of talking to them, being like, what would you like? And then giving them the best recommendation possible. Accommodate the customer's request and then inform your colleague why it took you a little longer to get to them. Again, that's a good one because it's good customer service helping the customer, but also you're explaining it to your colleague. So you're not just like randomly just turning up late. It's like you're showing that communication. You're being respectful to them, being like, yeah, sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I wasn't wasting your time or anything. It's just I had to deal with a customer. So that's good there. Explain you're on your way to help a colleague, but there should be someone else in the party section who can help. That I'd probably say is a bit less effective because fair enough, if you need to go help a colleague, then I get it. But maybe you could like show them to someone else who'd be able to help rather than just saying, oh, you can probably just walk around here for 2 minutes and eventually you'll find someone who can help. Maybe you could proactively go and introduce them to someone and then get on with your task. And then here I'd say it's probably less effective because rather than actually talking to them about, oh, here are the different party things you could get, you've basically just said, oh, go and look here and you'll find whatever you need. Okay, which is it's probably not the excellent customer service, the excellent client service that a lot of these companies are looking for. So that's what I do with my answers there. Potentially that's how I'd go through those questions. So I hope you found this valuable. The reason I filmed this one is because I filmed one previously and people said that it was really valuable, so I just thought I'd film another one, sort of explain how I do these situational judgment questions. This is how I'd personally go through it. You just want to think about the company values. So a lot of these companies, they have values like collaboration, communication, integrity, growth and development, in like all these different values. You just want to think about those in your answer. So can I choose the answer which is to do with collaboration? Can I choose the answer which is where I take personal responsibility? Can I choose the answer where I'm proactive? Can I choose the answer where I tell the truth and I'm honest and I have integrity? Can I choose the answer where I have excellent client service or excellent customer service? That's how you want to go about these. Just think about the values. Okay, and once you break it down into values, it isn't too complicated. Okay. And at the end of the day, if you're really unsure with any question, just don't really worry about it too much. It's like for some of these, I will have got them wrong, like technically on what the mark scheme is. It's absolutely fine. Just go in and try and make sure you're getting 3/4 half marks on every single question minimum. And yeah, that's what I'd say. So I hope this video has been valuable. If you do like these walkthrough videos, if I can keep filming more of them, then just go leave it in the comments below. Let me know that you've enjoyed these, and also leave a like if you've got value from this video. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.